Miracles We Have Seen, Chapter 36. Miracle of the Crippled Jamaican Girl. Her name is Janelle Hamilton. Today she is 14. She walks straight and has a look of competence as she entered the classroom of Marcus Garvey School in St. Ann's Bay, Jamaica. She is now a 10th grader and dreams of becoming a physician someday. Yet only a couple of years ago that dream seemed impossible. You see, Janelle was a severely crippled young lady. There was little hope for her, since the deformity could not be dealt with in Jamaica, and it would be too expensive to travel abroad for the needed surgeries. Jamaican doctors could only look at her x-rays, shake their heads, and express their sympathy. Janelle had suffered with her afflictions since she was 4 years old. In fact, everyone in St. Ann's Bay, a city of over 3,000, knew about her. When she walked down the main street to her school each day, she waddled from side to side so severely that her hands would touch the sidewalk. Alternately, that crippling disease, we discovered later, would in time take Janelle's life. One day, Janelle and her mother, Mrs. Edwards, came to our mission in Golden Grove. They had heard that we operated a small free clinic for the local residents. Mrs. Edwards asked us a very heart-rending question. "Can you do anything for my daughter?" When we looked at that pathetic, deformed teenage girl, our hearts were deeply touched. We looked at each other and answered in unison, yes. We had no idea what we could do, yet we knew that we had to do something. As we start praying, we felt that we should email our daughter, who at that time was a coordinator of surgery at St. Vincent Hospital in Indianapolis. The response was immediate. The invitation came from the management as well as from surgeons. Melissa, our daughter, made all the arrangements. We began the paperwork to take Janelle from Jamaica. Our hearts were filled with hope and anticipation. People from all over Indiana began praying. Young people donated money for airline tickets. Would it be possible to save this young lady's life? It would take a miracle. In October of the year 2000, a little crippled girl, Janelle Hamilton, and Winona Terry boarded a U.S. air flight from Montego Bay to Indianapolis. Their hearts were full of questions as well as hope. Many surgeons were pessimistic about the eventual outcome of such radical surgeries. Janelle's mind was flooded with thoughts of what it would be like in America. She had always lived in a tiny one-room bungalow located in St. Ann's Bay. She had endured the teasing and mocking of other children who felt that she was a freak. She had been forced to do most of the housework by a pitiless stepmother. Would she be rejected and mocked by American teenagers? Would she feel embarrassed by her Jamaican accent? Winona's mind was filled with one thought. Can we save this precious child? Will I have the stamina to spend 5 months or more away from my husband during her convalescence? How will my husband manage alone in Jamaica? Then the intercom announced that it was time to buckle the seatbelts in preparation for landing at Indianapolis International Airport. As Winona and Janelle walked slowly up the ramp to the waiting room, they were shocked to find that area full of teenagers, adults, children, and television cameras. Banners of welcome were flying. Shouts of joy filled the entire airport. It seemed, as the two ladies were smothered with hugs, handshakes, and an interview with NBC, their hearts were filled with joy, of course, but even more so, they knew they were not alone. With so many friends, prayer partners, and churches behind them, they could expect nothing but positive results. The medical team at St. Vincent Hospital, however, was not too optimistic. Little Janelle fell in love with Indiana, its churches, teenagers, shopping centers, and television. She was baptized at Christ Community Church in Sheridan, where a large number of and recently acquired friends looked on. All were challenged to pray earnestly for Janelle, as the medical prognosis decreed that this was the most serious and dangerous surgery that any of the specialists had seen. Then that fateful day arrived. Churches had held special prayer vigils for Janelle. The operation theater was being prepared at St. Vincent. 3 or more of the operation team had felt impressed to enter the surgery room early in the morning to anoint the room and pray for the surgeon. Dr. Noonan, one of the best-known surgeons in his field of specialty, felt the challenge of this special day. Special cameras would record the proceedings and would be used later to teach future surgeons the techniques of this unique operation. Dr. Noonan, after reviewing the x-rays, predicted the operation would last at least 8 hours on one deformed leg alone. He estimated it would be necessary to break that leg more than 6 times. The operation began. Winona, Pastor Larry Renahan, Doug and Kathy Beals, and friends of Janelle convened in the surgery waiting room to wait and pray. They were aware that it would be a long, grueling day if things went according to plan. They were shocked when the doctor opened the door and Melissa Fisher, coordinator of surgery, and our daughter, quickly ran to her mother's side and excitedly exclaimed, "Mom, do you want to hear about the miracle?" Hearts overflowed with joy as Melissa shared an incredible story. Dr. Noonan made his first incision just below the knee on the worst of the 2 legs. She added, scarcely to contain her excitement. Then he reached in to touch the arched bone, and something wonderful happened. The bone miraculously straightened on its own. The 8-hour surgery will now only take a fraction of that time, she added. Dr. Noonan, a world-class surgeon, said, "Did you see that?" Furthermore, Melissa related in an odd whisper, "He simply pointed toward the sky." Well, everyone in that surgery room agreed wholeheartedly. The story of the little Jamaican girl's miracle swept like wildfire through the great hospital and all the surrounding communities. Stacy Matthews, feature editor of Channel 6 ABC affiliate, carried the story across Indiana about the wonderful story of Janelle Hamilton's miracle surgery. Janelle Hamilton is fully recovered from her painful ordeal. She is now a junior at Marcus Garvey High School, St. Anne's Bay. She walks proudly each day down the main street of her city. Many do not recognize her as the same twisted, crippled child they once knew. No one mocks her anymore. Many are envious of her bright smile and the medical miracle stories she has to tell. This miracle happened because of the many people who pray, because of the great-hearted staff and the generosity of St. Vincent Hospital because of the willingness of Melissa Fisher to coordinate all of the necessary proceedings between Jamaica and the hospital, and most of all, in my opinion, because of a little 70-year-old missionary, Winona Terry, who was willing to sacrifice more than 5 months of her time, energy, patience, prayers, and love to save this precious little Jamaican teenager. When Janelle's mother asked that pathetic question, "Can you help my daughter?" Winona unhesitatingly responded, "Yes, we can." The scriptures tell us that faith, if it has no works, is dead. James 2:17. God uses people like you and me many times to help with His miracles. Would you consider making yourself available to be a part of a miracle? Remember the motto based on the prayer of Teresa of Avila. God has no hands but your hands, no feet but your feet, to do His work today.